connection to, like, for example, the state of Israel and the connection the Israelis have to the Pacific part of territory, but rather the idea, or what binds the Tibetan identity together, is a religious belief. It's cultural, it's elements of culture and religion. What does that tell us? Is that they're not interested from their entity of their identity with political independence. That's what Monica opens her speech with, and the previous speaker does not engage with. And we tell you that since having political independence is not the main thing, it's not the thing that they are aspiring for, but rather today they're trying to fight it only in order to preserve their ability to practice their religion and their culture. We're saying you have a better chance of achieving exactly that on our side of the house when you stop this particular fight, especially when, as Monica analyzes and gets actually no engagement from the previous speaker, the act of fighting itself is going against their own religion and culture, and they are forced to do so because of the way China is cracking down over them. Because some basically false thing the previous speaker comes up and claims. They come and tell us, well, you know what, today China already is allowing some sort of liberties to these minorities, to these minority groups, and China listens to international pressure. Seriously, have we not seen how China acted when they were hosting the Olympics, running away, tearing down villages over villages, causing people to be homeless, sending them away just for them to build stadiums and infrastructure? We don't exactly see how international pressure is working here. But moreover, they also ignore our analysis on the exact threat that the Chinese government has today. Because you know what, as much as we love to speak of China as, one big homogenic country, Monica already explains to you that is not the case. Monica already explains to you that there are a lot of minority groups, for example, the Muslim inside. That's exactly why the Chinese government cannot afford for themselves to now say, you know what? Fine, we'll give up the struggle we have taken upon ourselves for so many years. We'll just let Tibetans people be as they want. Because the moment they give that up, that's the moment that they start to have to cave to other demands, to other minorities. That's the point that they have to give up claims that they have over territory, over borders. I would be happy to see in what world opposition thinks that China is likely to get that. Third thing, I think, in engaging with what they just told us. They told us that today you have people that have a choice. People are able to live their normal life as Tibetan. Again, not realizing what China is doing to them. Not realizing that China currently is sending thousands and thousands of Chinese people from mainland into exactly these territories to try to make the Tibetan people less visible in the eye. Give them less, tempt them more interreligious marriages. Do not give them the ability to practice exactly what they believe. We're saying, and we already explained to why it's more probable that the longer the Tibetans continue their political struggle, you are more likely for China to crack down even harder. That's when you're going to get tanks in the street. That's when you're going to get more of the day. That's exactly when you have to go against your own religion belief. That is exactly when you cannot practice that. We simply do not think that the scenario that they're portraying is plausible. Moving on to our case. Not yet, thank you. Okay, look. We think that if you take a look, and they try to talk about what's going on in Hong Kong, ignoring the fact that Hong Kong is basically different because they are aspiring for differently, and not sort of like religion or culture independence, but rather political aspiration. We come and tell you, look, for the Tibetans, we're going to go to the mainland, okay? We're saying, even if they have some sort of, even if we're only left with some small territory for the people who will not move to the mainland, who will not assimilate, we're saying it's perfectly okay, because now they have a bigger chance of actually practicing their religion and practicing their belief. Now they have less stress, less pressure from the Chinese government applied upon them. We're saying, even if there are elements of racism inside of mainland of China, for the people who go there, there's still an element of choice. If you want to go stay and live in a rural area far away from opportunities or whatnot, or you want to try to be luckier and to have success or to improve life or live anyway differently in the mainland. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to talk at the Tibetan people as a people, those who care about and want to maintain their belief and their example, after school, like